Okay, very good. Hi, Hotan.
Hi, John. How are you?
I'm great.
So good to be here with you. It's so great to be together, very present together. And
Yeah, thank you for being able to do this for me, this interview. I appreciate it.
I'm so happy to do this. So, John, I know you. We've done some work together. You've been so amazing. Can you give everyone a sense of the work that you do?
Yes. So the work that I do is to help people to essentially be in their heart all the time,
Mhm.
not just some of the time, but in all aspects of their life. So it could be that they're struggling with being in their heart at work, or they're struggling being in their heart in relationships, and they can be specific relationships. But what we notice when we pay attention to our body and how defensive we are is we tend to have different experiences based on who we're with
Mhm.
and the circumstances that are coming up.
Yes.
And that takes us in and out of coherence. And coherence is where we're just resonating
Mhm.
with everyone that we are with. And we know what it's like because we just feel like it's natural and it's organic and there is no need to control anything. We're just allowing things to unfold, and it always unfolds better than we expect, right?
Yeah.
So it's a state of flow that we all know that we've been in, but we can't, for some reason, be in it all the time.
Mhm.
So the work that I do is to help clients understand the reasons why they're not able to be in the flow all the time
Mhm.
and give them a really a step-by-step process that they can use to get into that state of coherence and then stay there if they come out of it.
Okay. So you're saying who we're with and the circumstances affect how we are in the world.
Yes, they do, because
So
we,
why is that?
well, the
Yeah.
reason for that is the way I guess the universe works is we are constantly seeing parts of ourselves that we're not aware of. And
Hmm.
they're shown to us by others. So whoever we're with gets that responsibility in our lives. So it could be a spouse or a partner. It could be a mother, father. It could be a child. And really, it's all of the above. It's not just one person, but
Hmm.
they're all reflecting back to us all the time.
Hmm.
And it just depends on how we perceive what's really going on. If we have a wide enough lens,
Hmm.
then what we see is not necessarily how it looks.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about perception and let's talk about the lens. You say wide enough lens. Do
Yeah.
you give us a little bit more in terms of understanding what that is? Do you mean a filter through which we see the world? Our perspective is a story that we tell, or what we think is reality in the world? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So we inherit a lot of patterns from our relative, our ancestors,
Mhm.
and that we're growing up with parents who model certain coping ways of coping.
Yes.
So when we are adults, what we do is we just, if we're unconscious of what the way we react to people, we just, these unconscious programs just take over.
Mhm.
So for instance, if someone is doing something and we perceive it as irritating or not respecting us or whatever it might be, let's say, for example, we think that someone's not listening to us.
Mhm.
So if we're unconscious of what's going on, it's normal to just assume
Mhm.
that we take things literally, like, oh, someone's not listening to me. That must mean that they don't want to listen to me.
Or I have nothing to say, or I have.
Or maybe, yeah, what I'm saying is not important, or maybe it doesn't mean anything. So people start to make assumptions as to why what they're seeing is happening.
Mhm.
And it's very easy, without having a consciousness of what's really happening with a wider lens, it's easy to start judging what's happening.
Yes.
And it's not just judging others, it's judging yourself.
Yes.
So, for instance, you could be in a conversation and then afterwards you say to yourself, I wonder if I said the right thing, or I wonder if I said something wrong. Maybe they took it the wrong way, right?
That they're offended. They.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So we kind of make stories up because
Yeah.
things don't always happen the way we'd like them to happen, right?
Yes.
So with a wider lens, we have more awareness.
Hmm.
And with more awareness, we start to understand that everything that's going on in our life, in our experience, is
Yes.
a reflection of our own world and our own relationship with ourselves.
Hmm. So wait, let's unpack that, because there's perception, there are patterns, and then there are coping strategies, right? So
Mhm.
our perception is based on certain programming, is what I hear you say. Things that we were brought up with, things that our parents believe that we have taken on as our own, right? It's
Right.
our perception. And then once you have a certain perception, then life very conveniently actually gives you experiences to confirm those perceptions, right? Or as you're experiencing things, you begin to say, oh, well, there, you're looking for ways and things that happen that, in effect, reconfirm your perceptions or misperceptions of reality. So it's
Yeah.
the movie that's playing in our heads. So then the pattern, so the way to consciousness is looking for patterns, is that right? And then seeing where our coping strategies are. So if we have addictions, that's a coping strategy, right? If
Mhm.
we're workaholics, we're alcoholics, foodaholics, whatever, bingeaholics of watching Hulu, Netflix, whatever it is to numb out, those are our patterns. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and typically those are things that we inherit
Okay.
or we learn
Yeah.
when we're little as to how to deal with just whatever happens in our lives that we don't like,
Yes.
or
And
whatever is uncomfortable,
yeah.
whatever makes us feel uncomfortable.
Wow.
And
Okay.
if we're around people that are sick, we learn how to, from our parents, we
Mhm.
learn how to behave around those people. So
Mhm.
these are all choices that we actually have to make. But if we're not aware of the choice, if we're not aware of where that program came from, we
Yes.
just start to assume that this is who I am and that I can't change. This is the way I'm wired, and that's the way it is.
Because this is how I behave when something happens.
Yeah, and we kind of get in a very small box and we
Yes.
don't leave that box, right?
Yeah, it's comfortable. It's what we
And
want.
it's comfortable, right? But if we desire something
Yeah.
that is not happening in our life, and it could be health, it could be love, it could be work wise, it could be money, it could be anything, then we start asking questions. Why? I wonder why that's happening. I wonder why I can't seem
Mm.
to get the promotion I want, or can't seem to be in love with the kind of person I want.
That,
And
that's
after a while, you start to see patterns. So, like if you've been in multiple relationships or you've had multiple jobs, and you start to see the same pattern repeat itself. It doesn't matter what company you go to or what girlfriend you might have, they're giving you the same feedback.
Yeah.
then it starts to make sense. Well, wait a minute. Maybe I'm the common denominator.
Yes.
It's not who I thought it. It wasn't necessarily that it was just a bad company, or it wasn't necessarily that this girlfriend was just mean. Maybe there was something I'm not aware of. And
Something
that's,
I am not aware of.
yeah.
So, okay. So how do you become aware? So we're either moving towards things out of desire or moving away from things out of trauma. One way or the other, where there is this change that is happening. So we can, but we repeat certain patterns. So
Right, right.
how do you get to awareness? So you see the patterns, you know that there has been some consistency, the commonalities you in all of that, you keep
Mm-hmm.
attracting and feeling, it seems, intensity around certain things. So your broken pieces fit with other broken pieces very well because of conditioning. Somehow that is your issue you're dealing with. Okay, so you're now aware, in a lot of pain, a little bit embarrassed, but oh my God, I have all of these challenges, and you feel stuck. How do you move from there? Where do we go?
Well, there's some steps to take.
Okay, so these are the
And
strategies.
yeah, and it's almost sequential, but
Okay,
without getting into everything, every single step, I'll give you the overview.
okay,
So first comes awareness. And
yes,
without awareness, you don't really know that there's maybe an alternative.
okay,
Okay, so you
yeah.
need to understand that there is an alternative, and
Mhm.
it comes from a choice. And so the first step in all of this work is to set an intention.
Mhm.
So I remember when I was feeling like I had to make some type of significant shift in my life. And it was right around 2011, 2012. And I said to myself, I was reading a book called The Power of Intention by Wayne Dyer. And I just felt like, you know what, I need to set an intention. And I did. And that intention was all about love. I wanted to have love be the driver of my life. I didn't want love to be second place to anything because I felt like it was.
Mhm.
And that became that very simple, what seems to be a very simple step,
Mhm.
that puts in motion
Mhm.
everything that happened to me
Mhm.
because I set this intention. And if I look back, I can see now how why certain things happened. And it's easy looking backwards. It's not so easy looking ahead. So intentions are the key to this whole process. Once you set the intention,
Yes.
then sometimes you need some people in your life to support your process
Mhm.
of being able to mirror back to you in a way that's very supportive and compassionate and kind. There's no judgment.
Mhm.
And that's the kind of work I do. It's hard to find that in a friend because they don't necessarily have the skill set or they don't have the training to do it.
Mhm.
So that's where I step in and I help people to get into this space of not having any defenses up, of just being open to what they're feeling. And the body is the tool
Mhm.
to tell us what we're feeling. And it gives us messages all the time, but sometimes we choose to ignore those messages.
Okay.
But so I help people use the body to get
To
the
feel.
messages they need as to what's really going on.
Let's break that down because that sounds very esoteric. So intention is set. I want to live a life of peace. I want to live a life of abundance. I want to live a life of love, all of the above, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
Um, I want to live a life of filled with chocolate. So whatever we think it is. So then you get a support system to be able to help you through that, and that's where you come in, is to help someone. Okay, you're setting your intention. How can we help you get to that? And not only get to it, but also to sustain it. That's the important part. And then, so let's walk through what that means in terms of the emotions, using the body, because I want to be careful here, because there are certain triggers for people. If you have had physical violence, if you have been violated in any way physically, you don't want to go to your body to feel things. So help us walk through, not just for those friends who are listening, but also in general, how do you use your body, and what are emotions? What exactly are emotions? Are they energies? Are they your reality? Let's talk about that a little.
Yeah, emotions are extremely critical. And, we can be brought up, or we can inherit patterns that are not very friendly with emotions. So if in other words, if you're brought up by a mother or a father that chose not to deal with their emotions, that they thought that they were maybe not important because they distracted you from, the career or whatever they felt they were here to do to provide for their families.
Yes.
It can be very easy to discard the emotions or to tuck them away, and to think that they're really not that important, that they're a distraction.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends. Everyone's different. But the thing that's not different is the only way to feel and to manifest what you want, or these intentions that you want to materialize.
Feel and materialize your intention.
Yes. In order to have an intention materialize, you must feel what it feels like in your body in order to create the frequency, the resonance, for that to be attracted to you. So you have to use the body to create that resonance. So if there is a feeling that's, let's say, been tucked away, or a feeling that you're not even aware of, that you might have inherited from your father or mother, well, these suppressed feelings prevent us from resonating with what we want. But if we're unconscious that we have suppressed feelings, then we're kind of like, well, I don't get it. I set the intention. It's not happening. Well, what's going on? I read in this book, there's several books that have been written about, manifesting and the law of attraction. Well, if you're resonating with fear, you're going to attract fear. So it's not necessarily as easy as 1, 2, 3. It depends on how in touch you are with your feelings. And if you allow feelings to come and go and move through you, that's what emotion is. It's energy in motion. That's what emotion is. If emotions are stuck and they don't move, that means that we're missing out, because what energy is, it's information. Think of it as Google, right? You type into Google and you say you want to learn something, and then Google comes back with all this great knowledge. It's the same thing with emotions. Emotions happen for us because in the feeling there's this data, this rich wisdom that we get, that our body gets. It's almost like the body's getting fed with our emotions. But if we don't allow our emotions to move through us fully, then we get stuck. And we don't just get stuck in our bodies, we get stuck in life.
It's so interesting, Jon. So you're saying a lot, so much. And if you haven't had the experience of it, it's very hard to process all of this.
Yes, and that's exactly what I do. The work I do is not up here. It's all through experience.
Yes.
It has to be felt. So I guide people, I facilitate their own process
Mm-hmm.
of being able to go into their heart, being able to ask the heart questions, having the heart give them answers. And after a while, they start to realize they have their own Google inside their heart.
How funny. I love it. So let's do a quick exercise here.
Okay.
Walk through, how do we ask ourselves, our hearts, a question, and how do we hear the answer?
Well, it doesn't matter what the question is. You can
Okay.
ask anything. So why don't you just pick a
What,
question?
okay. So, gosh, I mean, it can be any question, right?
Right.
So, what about, can it be very specific to what is the next thing for me? What should I do in
The more specific you get, the better.
the better? Okay.
Yeah.
So, could it be, I'm trying to think what would be some of the questions. So maybe around grief. So if anyone is feeling any grief, asking, why am I so sad? What is the grief about? Can I ask that question?
Yeah, that's a great example.
And then you
So,
put your hand on your heart. How do you feel where this is? You immediately,
well, you can do that if you want. I just ask people to set their intention
okay,
to focus on their area of their heart,
like here.
just around their heart,
Okay.
and breathe in and out of the heart. Okay.
Okay.
And then so you feel connected to the heart, and then you just ask your question. So the question would be, is it serving me to feel sad?
Okay.
And did you get an answer?
I did.
Yeah.
Yes, because
Okay.
then I have an excuse not to move forward.
Okay. So that would be a great example of an unconscious um, reason why you're not able to manifest something.
Mm-hmm.
And your emotion is actually there as a participant in this equation. And so what happens is we would keep going further and further into this. We don't stop there. You keep asking questions. And
Yeah.
that's where people usually
Stop. Yeah.
they don't go far enough. Because when you start doing this work,
Yeah.
you are so amazed at the miracle of what we have, this tool of a body
Yeah.
and the emotions, and how our friends and relatives and loved ones are here to mirror back to us. It really is a miracle how it works. And we get so excited that we get answers, we just stop, say, okay, that's really cool. But if we went further and further and further and don't stop, we just keep getting more and more answers. So the process of evolution is never over.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of how big we want to dream, how big we want to expand our ability to influence others in the world.
Interesting. Okay. Wow, that's very cool. So then you work with the heart, very powerful. Get the question, understand the emotion in the equation. It shifts it. You stay with it, and then it shifts. It creates some sort of a balance and coherence. Then you go deeper and deeper. So what's the end result of this process? How long does it take, and what's the end result?
Well, it depends on the commitment level.
Yeah.
And, the process can take it really can take from days to weeks to months to years, just depending on the commitment level and the support network.
Commitment and the support network.
Yeah.
Okay.
You need both. So what I'm starting to do, I've
Yeah.
done most of my work one-on-one.
Yes.
But I realize that there's a real benefit to doing group work,
Yeah.
because within a group you have the support network and you have the ability to be accountable to others to
Yeah.
help support that. So my recommendation is, if you're serious about development and you really want to manifest something that you're struggling to manifest, then you need a combination of the skills plus the support group.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm actually putting together a program now. It's going to be about 30 days long, and it's going to involve 7 people in the group.
Okay.
And so that's something I'll be offering very soon, actually, in the month of December.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And if anyone wants to get hold of you, where would they go?
They would just contact me with my website or my email. And my website is just my name, www.jonzieve.com.
zieve.com.
Right.
Wonderful. This is great. This is wonderful. Is there anything that is, are there any patterns you're beginning to see as you do the work one-on-one with people that people should be aware of?
Oh, I see them every day.
Yeah. So what do you see?
Oh my, I just see, put it this way, everything that we think is reality is the opposite.
Everything that we think in reality is the opposite. So night is day, day is night.
Yeah, and the reason for that is if we have fear, it influences the frequency that everything in our life is actually influenced by fear. So when we can identify fears and we are able to move out of fear, it drastically changes everything. So what seemed to be scary and risky and dark now becomes safe and light and abundant. So it really is this paradox, but I see it all the time. What seemed to be a struggle or a problem is our greatest gift. It's our greatest opportunity. We just don't have the right lens, and it needs to be wide enough to see it for what it really is.
Wonderful. So you think this 30 days, what would people get at the end of 30 days in this group setting? Is it online? It's
going to be online, but you're going to be working in a group. Yeah. And so what you're going to get from it is you're going to achieve coherence.
You're going to get coherence at the end of 30 days.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that's the promise.
I'm going to let that sink in. That's a promise, or the promise.
That's the promise. Yeah. You have to commit. You have to do the work.
Yeah.
That is the intention of the program, is to, in 30 days, to achieve coherence, not just in a limited spot, but to see it in different aspects of your life where you want it.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So as we're sort of wrapping this up, what are the 3 things you would like to leave everyone with for them to be hopeful?
3 things to be hopeful. I'd like to have them, there's 3 questions I'd like everyone to ask themselves.
Okay.
Okay. The first question is, if I had no fear, I would do blank.
Statement. Yeah.
Okay. The second question is, if I had no worries about money, I would do blank. Okay. And the last is, if I felt fully supported, I would do blank. And with the answers, the truthful answers from your heart to those 3 questions, you are now starting the process of setting an intention to break through the barriers that are preventing you from being your best, brightest that you can be.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Jon.
Thank you, Khotan. I really appreciate your time and your excellent questioning and interview skills. You're a pro at this.
Oh my gosh, this is so wonderful. I can't wait to see what you learn at the end of 30 days, how this group comes together.
Well, you'll have to join the group.
Yeah, this is wonderful. We'll have to, well, let's do an interview at the end of the 30 days.
Let's do that.
That would be fun. Okay.
Thank you, Khotan.
You're welcome.
Take care.
So